Guys, can you imagine this? We, the Republican establishment, hereby endorse Hillary Clinton for president. Now you may be wondering why. Well, because after Jeb Bush, and then Marco Rubio, and then John Kasich, and then finally settling on Ted Cruz, it turns out that she is the only one left that is not Donald Trump. But that would be impossible, wouldn't it? Look what Terry did to Jake the Snake Roberts. Like, he used to have a head. Pretty sure anyway. Look at my shirt. It's political. Hello again. It's been a little while, but you didn't think you could get rid of me that easy, did you? The Indiana primary has just ended, and while the exact numbers aren't in yet, it looks like Trump has won and could have won as many as 57 delegates. This negates any claim that Ted Cruz makes that he has a chance of winning the nomination outright, because he doesn't now. You'd have to win something like 105% of the remaining delegates to do so. You know, math. Hello, this is Sean from the future. I'm interrupting. So while I was filming the video that you're about to watch, Ted Cruz actually made a speech in which he announced that he was dropping out of the presidential race. And that kind of just blows my mind right now, and I'm still actually trying to wrap my head around it. Here's why. The AP, or the Associated Press, had already ruled Ted Cruz mathematically eliminated from the presidential race. That was about 2 weeks ago. And then Ted Cruz decided that he was going to select a running mate, knowing that it would be near impossible for him to outright secure the nomination with the 1,237 necessary delegates.
As yesterday, Ted Cruz, the man mathematically eliminated from becoming president, picked his vice president. Cruz chose Carly Fiorina as his running mates, right? Yeah, I know. Carly Fiorina, what a trailblazer.
He and Kasich were essentially playing to prevent Trump from winning. He was going to finish second, and he knew he was going to finish second, so dropping out just blows my mind. Because now, instead of preventing Trump and getting a contested convention which could give him the nomination, he is essentially dropping out, leaving a gigantic amount of voters that will now be forced to either not vote or vote for Trump, giving him all the remaining delegates, with the exception of whatever John Kasich can get, and basically handing over the nomination to Trump. He's gonna get the 1,237 required delegates. It's now just going to happen. It's no longer a theoretical, it is now a probable. I don't know. So enjoy the video. And this is now a more likely scenario than I thought before. And while this doesn't secure the nomination for Trump, it makes him the only viable candidate from this point forward. But let's think about it for just a minute. Could the Republican establishment actually endorse Hillary Clinton? I think, yeah, that's a possibility. The Republican establishment, people like Jeb Bush and Lindsey Graham, have already endorsed Ted Cruz, a guy who is on the complete opposite end of the political spectrum of the Republican Party. And that is mostly because his name isn't Donald Trump. The world, not just the nation, has its eyes on this election right now because of Donald Trump. But countries like Canada, the UK, and Australia are actually considering taking measures to ban Trump completely. If he's elected, who knows what kind of controversy and issues that could create with our allies, let alone our enemies. Is the Republican establishment forced to endorse him just because he's the nominee of their party based on the political rules they put in place? Spoiler, Now, many congressmen, senators, governors, and prominent people in the Republican Party have already said they're not going to the convention, mostly because it's going to be a cluster. Beep. See, I censored myself. That's funny. And while I assume that if it were Trump versus Hillary, many Republicans would just say, to heck with it, I'm not speaking on this matter at all, I also imagine that some would just outright admit Hillary is a better candidate than Trump. For everyone. You could talk about budget, you could talk about experience, blah, blah, blah. What it comes down to is the system of American government more secure with Hillary Clinton? Yes. Or with Donald Trump? No. Because what kind of possible damage could he do to the economy, the relationships with our allies, with our enemies? He just talks and says he's gonna send ground troops into Syria, which could essentially start a war with Russia, and he's gonna carpet bomb ISIS no matter where they sit, even if it means bombing Pakistan, who actually has nuclear weapons, and we don't really want to piss them off. You know, because they have nuclear weapons. He's also said that the world should probably have more nukes, including South Korea and Japan. As far as economically, he has threatened that when he gets into office, he's instantly going to make enemies of two of our three biggest trading partners, China and Mexico. The biggest problem with that is that we owe, and by we I mean the United States, not me personally, not you personally, maybe. We owe China a huge portion of our national debt, our $19 trillion national debt. What if China were to just say, we want that back now, thanks? It could ruin our entire economy with the stroke of a pen. You thought 2008's collapse was bad? Holy bejeebus, kids. Add to that, his tax plan would cost $12 billion over the next 10 years, just after we finally are starting to push ourselves out of the recession from 2008, and he has yet to answer how he would pay for that money, because he swears that the economic growth would increase by 6 to 7% over that time. Now, all of these are worst case scenarios, but the problem with that is they're scenarios that we now have to consider very seriously, because say his tax plan doesn't cost $12 billion. Maybe instead it only costs $7 billion. That's still really bad. Also mentioning that he has pissed off citizens of this country in minority groups, women. We're actually not a minority. We actually have more women than men in this country. Mexicans, Chinese, Jewish people, everyone. So does the Republican Party actually say, yeah, this is our guy, we like him? Or do they say, and in a way concede, that the best option right now, they don't have to say for the next 8 years, all they have to say is right this second between these two people is Hillary Clinton? Because let's face it, while they opposed nearly everything that Barack Obama has done, unemployment is down, the GDP is up, the deficit has actually decreased. So as much as the Republicans want to hate him for Obamacare or for his stance on immigration or for golfing, the country itself is doing okay. And the Republicans as an establishment are doing okay. They took the House and Senate and have kept it over the last 6 years. And with the exception of a giant craptitude of candidates for their presidential nomination, the establishment as a whole wasn't really threatening to collapse 4 years ago. So in conceding defeat, admitting, yeah, you should vote for Hillary, they could regroup themselves, say, maybe we should find someone who's not gonna be an idiot, and come out swinging 4 years later saying stuff like, we endorse this person, but oh my God, we were wrong. You know, because they do that all the time. Because while they haven't been in power, when things go wrong, they instantly go, see, it wasn't us. It's just what the party does that's not in power. They say, look at them, they the problem. Democrats do it too, because Clinton's policies are actually pretty similar to Obama, and she's kind of running on that. So as hard of a pill it might be to swallow for the GOP, it might actually be their best option. Because can you imagine Ted Cruz hanging out in Houston trying to endorse Donald Trump 4 months from now? Or John Kasich going to Cleveland saying, Donald Trump is the best candidate? Or, man, are there any Republicans in California? Nope. In endorsing Clinton, the Republican Party would be sending a clear message that they don't support the type of rhetoric, racist rants, and stupidity that Donald Trump spits out all the time. While it might be for attention, and it's working like super well, it is very divisive, and people across the world are taking notice that this guy is what a good portion of Americans are like. Republicans don't want to see the country in a financial ruin or create excessive wars in the Middle East that they can't get out of again. And I know this because they've actually endorsed the crazy Tea Party guy who no one likes, because he might play by the rules and listen to advisors and not carpet bomb Syria. And if they're willing to endorse a guy like this...
Hey, let's hop out, boys. We're taking it.
Good jump. Good jump. Ready,
surely they'd be willing to endorse a former Secretary of State and Senator and not crazy person. The only other thing I can think of the Republicans doing is put out their own third-party candidate that can be less divisive, and the Republican establishment and a majority of the not crazy people can say, yeah, he represents our ideals a little better. And while they know in doing so they would not win the election, I think having Trump there, they already kind of know that. It could be someone that they could set in front of the nation, in front of the world, someone who won't threaten to build walls that'll collapse the economy, and it'll tell people that they don't support people like this.
Hey, I'm not saying they're stupid. I like China. I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China. Am I supposed to dislike them?
So what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is there no chance in hell that Hillary Clinton gets endorsed by any Republican? Do they all just stay quiet? Do they throw out Paul Ryan as a third-party candidate? Of course they wouldn't expect Rick Perry to go campaign for Hillary Clinton or anything, but in not campaigning for Trump, they're kind of doing that anyway. This political season is more interesting than I think we've had since, well, since Lincoln. Thanks for watching. Hope it was interesting and fun and super, and I will see you later. I have to go find Jake the Snake Roberts' head now. This is Terry. Terry, look. Look at his surgery. He had to have fat ripped off. We had to rip his fat off. He had some lipo. You're very happy today. Why are you so happy? Time for food. Time for food.
I'm not doing that to brag, because you know what? I don't have to brag. I don't have to. Believe it or not.